everybody. Welcome to Podcast on the Porch with Carrie
and Teresa.
It's a beautiful Sunday night, October 19th. It's raining outside, a little sprinkles. And
6:20 p.m.
Yeah, about 6:20 p.m. And Teresa and I were like, hey, let's get together and do a podcast because, we don't follow through with our weekly podcast, but hey, you're getting at least monthly.
Hey, go us.
Go us. Maybe bi-monthly. But anywho, I just wanted to say, wow, on our weather. It's been so up and down, a little bipolar. Thought it was going to snow the other night. And then, magically.
Wasn't it 80 last Saturday?
And it was 92.
And then it was 40 on Sunday.
Yeah, it was so cold. And then it rained for, 36 hours straight, which all the farmers, I heard them saying, wrong time of year for this rain. We all wanted it in the spring. I was laughing a little bit, but I concur. We all like a little spring rain shower to bring them Mayflowers. But yeah, they are saying, did you see that we're supposed to have the same winter as we had in 2013? Do you remember that winter?
No, I don't remember last week.
Okay, 2013, if New Year's Eve, I will never forget this. It was 62 below with the wind chill, and we were trying to light fireworks, and it was so cold that nothing would light. Like, your match wouldn't even, stay lit. It went out. So there was no fireworks being lit. That was the year that I lived in that little house that had water heat, and my pipes completely froze. And I woke up to a house at 30 degrees, and it was so old of a house that my little heaters that I had couldn't keep up with anything, and they couldn't even defrost it, and we had to get a blowtorch out to defrost the line. Oh, that was horrible. That winter was horrible. That happened quite a few times. I remember one time going into work, and they asked me why I looked so blue, and I was like, I'm freezing.
Yeah, I'm hypothermic. Okay, all right, so are you telling me they're predicting that for this year?
Yes, they're predicting it for this winter, but what was weird is before that winter, the Arctic blast hit, is we had a really warm October. They were trick-or-treating when it was 60 plus degrees outside. And then the next week it was there was 100-degree difference.
Okay, so we are going to be telling people then to make sure that you're preparing warmth for your pets for the winter.
And yourself.
I
myself know in a normal winter with the house that I own now, because of the weirdness that it is down there, I have to keep heaters going in my basement because they didn't put heat ducts in my basement. And my pipes will freeze. So, and I know a lot of people here in our community have the same situation. So why Glendive decided to put basements in all their houses, who knows? But we have a lot of people that live in trailers. And there's nothing wrong with living in a trailer. It's just that you really have to be prepared and prepped. So instead of trying to panic and ask where all the heat tape is 2 days before it gets down to that temperature, let's make sure that we have our pipes wrapped now while it's pretty decent for temperature, and plug everything in, make sure stuff works, get your extra heaters now type thing, the blankets, stuff like that. And people Texas actually did a really good thing on it. Remember when their power went out with that big snowstorm that they got, that they were they put a tent up in their living room, most families did, and huddled in one area. Just remember, if you get to that point, nobody should be dying from freezing. Huddle together in one room, get all your blankets and sheets and your towels together, and now's the time to be able to purchase some extra blankets if you can. We have a great resource at the attic, and the attic is always stocked with blankets, and they're only a couple dollars, and reach out to the Zion Lutheran Church because they've got some extra linens and stuff. Let's make sure we're prepared for our winter, and we have so many people that move up here that don't understand Montana winter in general.
And if you go, and now I haven't talked to the schools about this, but our teachers are amazing. And if you're going to go buy like a pair of mittens for your kids, if any of us see some mittens on sale and just want to grab a couple extra pairs and take them to our schools, I know that those teachers will give out mittens to the kids who either lose them, forget them, don't have them,
Right.
And so we can keep our little kiddos warm too.
Yep.
So
And they also accept coat donations.
nice.
Yep. Let's
Yeah.
not forget about that, because Action for Easter Montana takes coat
Yep.
donations. So let's make sure you're prepared for a normal Montana winter plus the Arctic freezes we do get, which, if we get the same one as they're saying from 2013, that was 8 weeks of brutal hell. Like, at one point I questioned if I moved back to Alaska or not. Like, but I don't want to see what happens every winter be really, like,
Yep, lethal. Yeah,
it's going to be bad, but because we've got livestock we're thinking about, and a lot of people don't understand that. They think that they could just go to Tractor Supply, Runnings, or Ranch and Farm and be able to grab something as a homeowner, when they fail to realize that livestock, have the same conditions as we do, and farmers and ranchers are really buckling down to make sure their animals are taken care of, and they're buying the same products, if not more.
And they're doing it now.
Yeah.
They're if they don't already have a lot. Yeah.
And there's always those few that end up having something break that has to replace something, and so on. So make sure you got your batteries for your flashlights, your batteries for all the stuff you need. And I really wish they would teach more classes on how to live in the climates that everybody lives in, type thing. Like, I'm lucky enough that I've lived in multiple climates. Maybe you haven't. Like,
no, I'm a northern girl.
Exactly.
Yeah. South Dakota and Montana is
exactly. But you've got wood that you have to get ready for your wood stove, stuff like that. Which most people in our community don't have wood stoves and stuff like that. But if you've got those pellet fed things, make sure you buy your extra pellets, stuff like that, so that you're prepared, because as well as I do, because you and I go to work in this stuff, that if we ain't got to leave after we're home, we ain't leaving.
And then there's something else, Carrie. As we look over the porch, it's time for me to get the top on the Jeep.
Yeah.
It's time. I have extended out summer Jeep no top convertible season as long as I can, and it's.
Hey, I gotta finish
here.
clearing all the debris out of my driveway from construction, so I can get the car put back up into the driveway and put its winter wrap on and its trickle charger on, so that it's good to go. I feel you, because I did the same thing. As a matter of fact, I drove my car the other day, and people were like, "You don't have it put up yet?" And I'm like, "No, it's still nice."
Yeah, I had my mittens and my wool hat on, and my wool socks, and Lacey did an intervention and says, "It's time, Mom. I can't watch you anymore." but that's
the same thing as you riding your bike.
I know. Yeah, I know. And okay, all right, we better apologize, because you had said we were doing what were we supposed to do today, and we weren't ready for like faces, like video.
Oh, we were gonna do a Tickety Talk podcast.
Next time.
Maybe next time. Teresa called me while I was at work washing dishes, and I was not ready to be seen by the public anymore. I look overtired. I have work clothing on. I even have my work coat on. Like,
okay, all right. So I am old, and I rarely wear makeup, and I've never really worn foundation because I don't know how to put it on. I don't know how to match it to my skin. I don't know any of that, and so I have to be cruising around, because it's like, I think it's time, maybe before I hit 60, to figure out how to cover up my wrinkles. And I got overwhelmed in the makeup aisle, and I walked out, and here I am. again like this. So because I would really like to have some makeup on if we are going to be doing some sort of a face-to-face thing on there. And then, okay, and what I was also going to do is I wanted to start talking about some of the history that I had gathered from the river and the floodplain, and when they were building the interstate bridge, and the history that I was able to acquire about the residents of Glendive really fighting for not having the interstate roll where it did, have it roll south of town instead of there, because they were afraid it was going to create a dam effect. And so next time I'm going to be prepared to like start going over some of that. I have a huge binder of all of the little histories from the old newspapers, from the state Army Corps of Engineer studies, and just some fun facts to share. But so, Carrie, tell me, what are you seeing on Facebook? What are you seeing in the newspaper? What are you?
We all know I don't buy the newspaper. The Ranger ain't worth a damn penny. It's printed on. Anywho, I saw some scuttlebutt about the wind farm and the stuff that our commissioners did.
Yeah.
And I saw somebody make a comment about eating crow. I always laugh at that slang. I don't know why. That slang just makes me laugh. Which is kind of funny because my boss asked me it the other day. And I was like, I guess I could eat some crow. And it was on something I had said the week before. And I admit when I'm wrong. I always have.
So, okay.
But...
Okay, are they mad? What? Okay.
They're mad because the commissioners pretty much didn't give an F about people's opinions. And this is what I say about the commissioners. And this is just my opinion on it. And people can take it and leave it. Is that what I have learned from political seats that don't have limitations is people think of it as a career. And our county commissioners are very overpaid for what they do, nor give an F about. Because let's go back. I guess this will still chap my ass. Is the commission meeting I saw it in about the El Centro Motel with about 4 other people, and Brad Mitchell looked me dead in my face and said, "Your opinion doesn't matter. We've already been approved and I'm buying it anyways." And that right there, to me, set the gist of him as a person in the position that he holds, that he doesn't care what I bring to the table. That it's his way, no matter what you say. So, I feel that the people that have gone up in front of these commissioners and voiced their opinion of not having the wind farms here, that they just wasted their air in their lungs. And then they I'm sure you saw the, where was it at? Was it Wyoming with that storm that the blade got knocked off and went flying through the dang air, whatever. And there was somebody that actually made a very good comment on the post about Montana has a law about eagles, which we all know you cannot do anything to an eagle.
Right.
Wind turbine blades are the number 1 killer of eagles. So,
okay, are people mad? And I don't know, because what I see happening, and I actually did a letter to the editor about this. People, there appears to be, they're balling wind and zoning into one thing. Is that are people mad about wind, or are they mad about zoning? Because there's 2 different things.
that's...
And so, as far as wind goes, it is very difficult. I mean, our government subsidizes a lot of things. A lot.
Right.
I mean, look inward at what you do, and is it subsidized in some fashion by the government? I mean, working at economic development, that is, we get funding for economic development for CRDCs, but you know, agriculture, oil. There's a lot of subsidies, and my thought is what is being subsidized efficient and dependable and reliant? And for wind, I don't think that wind is any of those. But when you start inviting zoning in for the purpose of keeping something out, you're basically inviting and demanding government on your property, and that's what I have a concern of. I think they should shut down all wind and take all of that funding and focus on making like the nuclear, doing good investment into the nuclear pods that are like the smallest, cleanest, and most efficient, and have been running submarines and all of the things. And you know, take and make the most efficient use of our energy money and make it research and develop the most efficient forms, and wind isn't. So I'm definitely not necessarily I'm concerned about wind, but I'm also concerned about zoning. And
I agree with you.
And you know, and zoning, if you're an advocate of zoning, you're not trying to manage your land. You already know what you want to do on your land. You're trying to manage what your neighbor's doing on their land. That's
right.
What zoning is.
Right.
It's like, I know what I want to do. I just want to make sure my neighbor is doing the same thing that I want to do. And so zoning is separate, but there's development agreements, and I had stuck that in. And so creating zoning to restrict one industry is very concerning to me. They can do development agreements and independently look at that one industry without people demanding that the government come onto your property and regulate what's on your property or your neighbor's property. And that I feel that is inviting an overreach of government onto private property. And especially if there could be another avenue in which to handle one industry that the public is concerned about. And I don't know. My thoughts for what it's worth.
Oh no, everybody's thoughts are something. So I've been looking at some stuff, and you know how we are, the United States of America, we'll think of us as a bold, that many people don't like the way government is being ran, not just by states, but by country. And I follow a lot of people that live off the grid. And a lot of people say, well, you can't live off the grid if you have internet access. Well, yes and no. Because there's ways that some of these people are getting what we have and pay for, that they found a way to get it and build it themselves. So technically they're living off the grid.
And I define living off the grid, though.
Exactly.
You know, I'm a bit of a prepper myself, and so
hold on, I'm going into it.
Okay, our phones are like kind of keep us on the grid.
Right. So this one gentleman, and he was a younger gentleman, lives off the grid, per se, to an extent, because he works from home. His work is all computer based. Okay, so that's the only grid part of his household.
That's a big grid.
It is a big grid. But his home is heated by a way that he figured out how to go get cooking oil, used cooking oil, and created a whole thing that not only cleans cooking oil to be reused, he made it a multi-purpose step so he can reuse said cooking oil. But it also, he did a whole thing. It's a whole heat source and electricity. The whole 9 yards. He did it all off of used cooking oil. He built this whole thing by himself. And I was like, you know what? You can tell that boy sat down and thought for a very long time and built it and failed and built it and failed. Because he talked about his failures. And I found it very interesting that he's pretty much trying to make it to where he's completely off the grid. And like he says, I have to work a little bit because everybody's got to work a little bit. But he needed a starting point. He bought his land that's not connected to a city, in the middle of nowhere land, because there's lots of middle of nowheres. We know that, Mm-hmm. But he built everything he built was from scratch, off of his land. His home was built off of his land. His power source off of his land, off of, the parts and all the rest of that stuff. He didn't. We've watched where people use water from rivers to power stuff, mm-hmm. just by building, their tunnel flows. Yeah. And stuff like that. And it was very interesting on how he did it. And all he does is he goes into town and restaurants give him free cooking oil.
Okay, so you're talking like some pretty amazing recycling. So have you heard of Veolia? Veolia International it's like an international industry company and they happen to service our Colstrip power plant, and so like any waste products they take care of. Veolia has go on their website and take a look at the amazing work that they are doing trying to clean up our junk. They are cleaning up our junk. They have, and so they have branches of green that help to clean up agricultural waste, nuclear waste, biohazards from hospitals. I'm not quite sure what they do down in Colstrip, but they clean up some waste down there. They are engineering. They have designed, well, there are several companies, including Veolia, that are looking at ways to recycle the used and retired, those nasty wind blades, into concrete. And
I saw a whole thing that somebody changed it into carport covers.
Yeah. And so you have companies like Veolia that are taking they're reusing, and a lot of the byproduct of the process to recycle is actually a heat related process, and so they can take that and they can make that into energy just by I hope that they come to Montana and help to clean up junk and the and tires and byproducts, and you've seen the pictures of like the Casper landfills. Well, I saw Casper. There's other ones, landfills that have the wind blades in them that are that are being buried. And I am really excited that. Have you seen the pictures of the garbage islands that are in the ocean? Mm-hmm. And that there are companies that are starting to clean that up and recycle all of that garbage that is just floating in our ocean. And if these companies are finding ways to recycle, repurpose, and use the byproduct of heat as some sort of an energy source, I'm behind them.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. There was another lady I was watching on TikTok that she visits everywhere. Sorry, she visits a lot of places, and she has a kayak that she either rents or whatever. And she was in a third world country, and she found like a secluded beach that took a lot of effort to get to, and she kayaked there. Her and her family did. And she always carries garbage bags with her in her backpack. And they found this beach and they had built a way to take all this garbage into garbage bags and clear it off. This beautiful beach was just littered, and she said it was a very difficult kayaking in because of how, like, you know, it's not really, you can't really get to it per se. Excuse me. But they kayaked into it, and the tons and tons of garbage that she took out of it. And she was like, but it was one of those countries that doesn't have, I don't know if you want to say options, or maybe they don't have a landfill, or maybe they just don't know what to do because they're too poor, type thing. And it's stuff
we
like,
do have landfills and we have garbage.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying is, like, you know, there's better ways to separate trash. There really is. And you know it, and I know it. And I voiced this numerous times to city council, and they blew me off. It's like the question of, why do you charge me to dump my tree when tree is a biodegradable resource? But you charge me $8 a ton to bring up something that's going to help break down everything else that you got up there. That, like, when we lived in Alaska, you had to separate everything. Living in Wyoming, I had to separate everything. California, you have to separate everything. Like, why are there still states that don't mandate separations? And you can't tell me it's because we don't have recycling facilities close by. Alaska doesn't have a recycling facility. They found other ways to do stuff with things. You know, grow. They found a need about cardboard. They started with cardboard. All it took was cardboard, Teresa, and they made pallets of cardboard to get out of here.
They have, which, by the way, all of our volunteers are starting to retire out, and we could sure use some new young blood in all of our volunteer organizations.
True. But here's the thing about cardboard. Cardboard is one of the best things to use in your garden. It helps so much because it puts nutrients into the earth. You know, and same thing when you use, you know, sawdust, or you take down some trees, you know, chop them up or whatever, leaves. Those are all things, like, why do we not teach the basic person how to create a compost pile?
Okay, let me segue for you a minute. Now, you're going to be countdown here pretty soon to city council.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to want to see? Are you going to be advocating for
There's
anything?
a lot of things I would like to look at, but I'm going to be truthful here. I think the first quarter I'm going to have to sit back and see what they're doing. Okay. Because there's only 2 of us that are new coming to those seats. And there's a lot of things I need breaking down. And honestly, just looking at what we're spending in general for stupid stuff really needs to be looked at. Like, I don't agree with buying new engines on a used car, for instance. That to me was a waste. So you spent $18,000 on a car, you just dropped $10,000 into an engine. So we just made an $18,000 car a $28,000 car. Okay, that's dumb. And then you've got where this whole, like, everybody needs a car. No, they don't. They don't. Nobody should be taking a car home at night, period. Doesn't matter where you work. Because what's good for the goose should always be good for the gander. That's like telling an ambulance person to take their ambulance home.
Yeah, I never thought of that.
You know, no. So I was looking at, like, the money spent on the last accounts receivable, and what I found interesting is that we have a lot of money that is going and not being broken down better on those reports, and there's never any receipts that follow. Like, tell me why we're paying Idle Bailey $10,000 for just 1 day's of work when you have somebody that's in finance and then 2 people that also work side by side in finance. So we not just paid. So if you take the $6,000 a month that Darcy makes, the $6,000 a month that Jessica makes, and I don't know how much this finance guy makes, I haven't looked at it yet, and you divide it to find out how much they get paid in a day, in essence, we probably paid what, you know, $1,100, maybe $12,000, or sorry, $11,000, maybe $12,000 for 1 days of, like, why did we need them to do that much work? That I have questions on. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand vehicles break. I'm not dumb on that.
I know. Yeah, I know.
It's more the essence of why did we buy a used vehicle and it didn't even make it a year and a half. And yet we have a police chief that wants to spend another $90,000 on a new vehicle. And that doesn't even include all the rest of the stuff it needs. I don't see, we're in Glendive, Montana.
So it sounds to me like you are going to be, and you know, well, I'll just say we were visiting about this right before we started too. You have always been interested in the fiscal responsibility. I know that you were at the meetings asking about finances for years. And when I was, you know, at City Hall, you were there wanting to know about the finances and wanting fiscal responsibility. And so I see that is just going to continue. Because that has always been a passion of yours.
It is because
fiscal responsibility.
Teresa, I look at what we pay for taxes, and the math doesn't math. We're a small community, and we pay more money in taxes than these other communities that are have lavish lifestyles. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Like, as somebody, when you hear people say, well, Glendive refuses to grow. Well, why is Glendive refusing to grow? What are we doing to not let Glendive grow? Why have I heard about the amount of businesses that have knocked on our door, but we've told them no? Why are we telling them no? If they've got the money, a simple tax break to me is golden, because you're bringing in, I think that when the forefathers built Glendive, they knew they were in a great location. They really did, because you got North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Canada. We're all within a few hours, or minutes. Seriously, you can get to North Dakota in 40 minutes. South Dakota's not even 2 hours if you think about it.
No, true.
You know, Canada's only 3. We are in such a great location that giving somebody that little bit of a tax break, or letting them town pump, they wanted to bring city water, we told them to go pound sand. That was the stupidest thing. So they couldn't even open up the restaurant they wanted to open. But yet, if you would have let them do it, imagine the bigger,
the momentum
reaction we would have saw from that, because you've got Highway 16, Highway 200, I-94, you know, plus the multitude of other connections just within a rock throw of Glendive.
So, and where are we at on our time, girl? Okay,
We're at pretty much our time.
About a half an hour. And I just think, you know, I'm really excited about the pilot tourism program, and I hope that helps, because you are familiar with that there is the Pilot Tourism Department of Commerce grant money that got awarded to Eastern Plains Economic Development to help make basically a tourism hub in by Bell Street Bridge, where the GTA Tower is, and the group that has come together to help create the plans, because like year 1 and year 2 are planning. Those are the planning years,
right?
And then it's the building years. And I hope that, and I know that is the hope of Jamie and the hope of Tara, is that the vision is to see the momentum, the positive momentum that could help create, like, hopefully that will be that rock in the pond, that ripple effect that positively brings in, more economy into the town. And that would be great.
You know what I want to do? And I'm going to do some research. Is you know how I said I would love to do something in Iyer Park? Like a festival once a year, like bring people that the city puts on. I want to look up Founders Day.
Okay, all right, okay. Well, and we're kind of tight here on time, but also I was creeping on Facebook, and there was somebody, I think it was on Dawson Discussion, was talking about like a craft or artisan fair out at Intake.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah, they want to kind of do like a renaissance.
Yeah, wouldn't that be cool?
That is, but I would really like the city to kind of foot some of this and show it citizens that, hey, we're listening. Do
you feel, and it's just a question, do you think it is the responsibility of the city to support the tourism, the financial burden of that?
Yes.
Or you do? Okay, I was just wondering. Or do you think that is the responsibility of like your Chamber of Commerce and things like that?
No, your county and your city, because how are you going to get people to come see you if you're not putting yourself out there? Like, I mean, there's so much ways we could go. You know what? That's going to be for next time.
Okay, so next time then, I'm going to try makeup. Let's see, just in case you decide that you're going visible. We will do. I'd like to. What are you going to talk about?
The stuff I look up, like like the stuff on founders. And
I want to see I think a Renaissance would be fun.
I'll have time. I'm having surgery this week anyway, so.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thanks again for joining us at Podcast on the Porch with Carrie
and Teresa.
Have a good night.